28% of students drop out before their second year of college. Burnout, bad fit, or a lack of opportunities are some of the common reasons why this happens. In this video, I'll share what factors made me choose Stanford and what factors anyone should consider before choosing their university. Hi, welcome to the channel. My name is Srijan and I love making videos about education and technology. Without further ado, let's dive into the topic. When I was applying, I was lucky enough to consider between a few great schools. My top schools were Stanford, Northwestern, University of Chicago, Reed College, Washington and Lee University, University of College London, and I was also waitlisted at a few other places, some in the Ivy League. When I got into so many schools, it was very important for me to reflect on what factors will be best for me to consider and get into the best place for the next 4 years. If I had to summarize that process in one sentence, I would say compatibility. You should go to a school that's compatible for you and you are compatible for the school, or at least that was my metric when going through the process. In this video, I'll share the metrics that I used to figure out my compatibility for my school. Number one, location. Location is underrated and super important in my opinion. I knew that I don't like winters. I grew up in a very hot and humid climate in Dhaka, Bangladesh, and I went to boarding school for 2 years in the United Kingdom. I went to a United World College or a UWC there. And it was a great experience, but it was very cold. I faced winters for the first time. Temperatures were 0 degrees. It used to rain in winter. And I used to get sick often. And I knew I don't want that again. So I was looking into hotter climates for my university. And I was zoning down on the West Coast in the United States. So Reed College and Stanford were two of my main priorities. And fortunately, I lucked into both of them. I applied to early action into Reed College, and in regular decision I got into Stanford, which gave me the best aid, and I went there. I think location is very important because your happiness is tied to it. If you like cities, if you like great weather, if you don't like hot weather, all those things should be considered when you make this crucial decision. The second important factor is the social scene. Big schools and small schools are widely different. Different schools are known for different things. My high school was somewhat of a smaller school. We were only 150 students and we got to know each other very well. There was a lack of privacy, I would say, but we had great friendships. So I liked that, but I wanted to sort of challenge myself to see how I would do at a bigger school. Because at a big school, you have to cast a wide network, you get to meet many different people, and your connections and network expand greatly. So I took the challenge and wanted to go to a bigger university. Luckily for me, I think Stanford gave me a balance of both a smaller undergraduate community where we have around 7,000 students and a much bigger graduate and faculty community. So I had to learn both things, how to remain intimate with a small group and how to expand your network or open up to others. It was a bit of a nightmare. I'm somewhat of an introvert and I think big schools are an extrovert's paradise. But I had to come out of my comfort zone and learn to sort of exist in the world and grow socially with strangers and who eventually become friends. So I think that experience was quite nice. And social scene is something definitely everyone should consider when they decide which school they want to go to. The third factor to consider is the political bent of the school. For me, it was not an important factor. I like ideas when they clash. I like to listen to different opinions. That does not mean I agree with most things. Many opinions I find quite stupid or driven by malice, but I like opinions and debates. So I wanted a school that's vibrant, where there would be communities of different ideas and where they can express themselves. I think Stanford gave me a good balance of that. It was somewhat liberal, however, it also had the tendency to listen to conservative opinions and discuss them. But I would say the large bent of the school is still largely liberal because it's in California. Young people tend to be more liberal anyway. But that being said, I think conservatives on the school have the space to express themselves in some capacity or in a great capacity. But I know some places are perhaps even better for free speech if you're into that kind of person. University of Chicago is known for really wild debates, asking questions to really controversial speakers. I don't think all schools are necessarily like that. But if that's something that you feel strongly about, then you should definitely filter schools by political stance as well, because there might be some schools where what you are or your orientation might not be accepted widely, and it's important to go to a place where you'll feel safe and you'll feel like you are nourished and cared for. The next point, in my opinion, is the most important point, is opportunities. Which school will give you the best opportunities? And for me, this was where Stanford really won the battle against the rest. I sort of knew I wanted to go into technology. I was debating between technology and economics, and Stanford had great programs for both of these things. How Stanford is also very close to like the startup culture here. So it's close to the Bay Area. It's a bit on the outside, but it is still accessible to many startups and more importantly, many VCs, like the Sand Hill Road, which has a ton of venture capital firms who give money to startups for starting their technology companies, are very close to the university. And there's a very strong partnership between industry and the university. So I thought I'd get a lot of opportunities by being in this place. But even more importantly, I think the real discussion is around cities and more, say, suburban places. And I think for opportunities, cities are better because there are more companies around. You can have more internships at smaller companies. You can meet more people. You can ask for mentors. So I think in some ways, cities are better. But that does not mean your career is doomed if you go to a suburban school. Absolutely not. In fact, Stanford is kind of in the suburbs, but it still has a lot of opportunities. I think with the internet, LinkedIn has leveled the playing field to a large extent. Like you can reach out to anyone online, you can reach out to companies on LinkedIn, on Twitter. So even if your school is not in a city, I think you have a lot of opportunity to grow your career. But that is something I would look into. Again, I would always choose cities over suburban places, but that's my personality. You may have a differing opinion. The next point is clubs and student organizations. For me, it was an important consideration. It's way more difficult to start a new club from the ground up. You have to get funding, you have to convince people to join it, and you have to consider the grit and the work you have to do for it relative to your schoolwork. It's a lot of work. It's way easier to join an established club. And I used to do debate in high school. I have been to 6 world debating championships, 4 at the junior level, 2 with Stanford. And for me, that was something I wanted to do in my university. And so I wanted to go to a university where there's a strong debating culture or debating presence. And Stanford clearly had a very good debating culture. It had great funding. It had a great administration. So that was one thing I looked out for. But if you go to a school where there is no club for your interest, it's fine. You can start one. You can start small. You can build a community. And in many ways, that is more impressive to recruiters or to future employers because you initiate leadership. You show that you have initiative and you can convince others for a new cause. And those are widely sought after skills. But clubs should also be a factor for anyone, I think, because so much of life is outside of just formal studying, and social organizations, clubs, say ethnic communities, those make up your experience and happiness in many ways. So I think that's a factor everyone should really consider for the university. All right, the last reason, and this is what everyone chooses the university based on. I might have been guilty for it as well. Fame of the university. Let's be very honest about it. The moment when I got into Stanford, I threw down the towel and I knew I would go there. It's the most prestigious school in the list of schools I mentioned. It is ranked 1 or 2 in every ranking there is. My parents would be happy. Everyone would be proud of me. I'll have so much high status for the next 4 years. Why would I not do it? But that was a very bad reason for choosing a university. I think status or fame of a university is a terrible reason for choosing where you'd go. And that's because basically fame has very little to do with what you feel once you get in. And once you get in, it's all about other aspects, the community, the people, the sort of facilities you'll get, but also the sort of culture and whether you belong there. So I think fame is a bad reason to go to a university. But if you are the kind of person who does not feel very strongly about any of the metrics, probably fame is a good enough reason to go somewhere. But no matter where you go, it doesn't matter if you are in the A team. What matters is what you do in the A team. So the player who never gets to play in the team that wins the league is probably not growing or is not as impressive as the player who's contributing for smaller teams. And that's what I feel. There are no big or small universities, but however, what you do as a student, no matter where you go, matters more than where you go. So please come out of this toxic cycle that you have to go to the most prestigious university. Absolutely not. You have to go to somewhere where you'll grow and you'll be a good human being, and not the school that is the shiniest on paper. If you watched till this point, thank you very much. I appreciate that you give me your time. If you think this was helpful, please like and subscribe the channel. I will promise that I'll come up with really interesting content and hopefully help you learn and make myself more valuable to the world.